There's a reason billionaires never talk about how they really make money. Because it's not about what they do, it's about how they think. You've been told your whole life that hard work creates wealth. But what if that's the biggest lie ever sold? Studio microphone. See, the rich don't chase money. They attract it, with clarity, discipline, and invisible rules no one ever taught you. This isn't motivation, it's revelation. And once you understand what I'm about to tell you, you'll never see money the same way again. You've been told your entire life that money is something you earn. That you have to work hard, save harder, and pray life gives you a break. But let me tell you something most people never hear. Billionaires don't earn money, they understand it. There's a hidden language behind wealth, one that speaks in emotion, in energy, and in mindset. The rich don't chase money. They attract it. They command it. And if you've ever wondered why some people seem to magnetize wealth effortlessly while others drown and struggle, this right here is the difference. You've been trained to see money as a reward for effort. They've been trained to see money as a reflection of value. That shift, from effort to value, changes everything. Think about it. A janitor works harder than a hedge fund manager. A teacher gives more heart than a CEO. Yet one struggles to pay bills while the other builds empires. Why? Because effort doesn't equal wealth, alignment does. Billionaires have mastered one rule. The world pays you exactly what you believe you're worth, not a cent more. That's why they guard their minds like treasure. Because they know your bank account is nothing but a mirror of your beliefs. When you believe you're meant for average, you attract average opportunities. When you believe you're meant for abundance, the world bends in your favor. Money is psychological gravity, it moves toward clarity, confidence, and control. You want to know the first secret billionaires know? They don't focus on getting rich. They focus on becoming the person money naturally follows. Let me tell you a story. In 1980, a man named Howard Schultz walked into a small coffee shop in Seattle. Nothing fancy. Just a few tables, an espresso machine, and the smell of roasted beans. But he didn't see coffee, he saw connection. He saw what others didn't, a ritual, an emotion, a daily escape. That's what billionaires do, they see what others overlook. They don't chase what exists, they create what's missing. Howard Schultz didn't sell coffee. He sold comfort, warmth, and identity. That's how Starbucks was born. Now think of your life. Where are you chasing instead of creating? Where are you seeing money as a product instead of perception? The poor see price. The rich see value. The poor say, I can't afford that. The rich ask, how can I create something the world will pay for? That's the billionaire lens. And the moment you wear it, your entire world starts to shift. Because here's the truth. Money is not a tool. It's a test. It reveals who you are, not what you earn. It flows to those who think, not those who toil. The billionaire doesn't wake up asking, how do I make more? He asks, how do I think better? Because he knows the difference between scarcity and abundance isn't in effort, it's in awareness. Every thought you have about money writes the code for your financial destiny. When you say, I'll never be rich, your subconscious agrees. When you say, I'm learning to think like wealth, your subconscious opens the door. It's not magic. It's focus. And here's the paradox. The people who chase money never catch it. The ones who grow themselves beyond the need for it, attract it endlessly. Because money is energy, and energy flows where certainty lives. You want to attract wealth? Stop worshiping it. Start embodying it. Walk like you already own your future. Speak like you already have options. Decide that you're not here to survive, you're here to expand. Billionaires know something powerful. Money doesn't create freedom, freedom creates money. When you operate from fear, you shrink. When you operate from purpose, you multiply. That's why wealth begins in silence, not in spreadsheets. It's born in moments when you stop running from your own potential and start asking, what if I am the opportunity I've been waiting for? The truth is, money was never the goal. It's the proof that you've grown beyond limitation. It's the evidence that your thinking has evolved. Because once you understand this, your relationship with money transforms forever. It's not about how much you make. It's about how much you believe you can handle. Most people subconsciously reject abundance because deep down, they don't feel ready. Billionaires? They prepare their mindset long before the money arrives. They visualize wealth. They speak wealth. They design their life around wealth before it manifests. That's why when opportunity knocks, they're already home. You don't have to be born rich. You just have to think like someone who refuses to stay poor. Because poverty isn't in your wallet, it's in your worldview. The moment you start thinking like the rich, your world begins to shift. Not because life changes instantly, but because you do. And when you change, your vibration changes. When your vibration changes, your actions evolve. And when your actions evolve, money can finally find you. So tonight, ask yourself, do I want to work for money, or make money work for me? Because billionaires already know the answer. They don't chase wealth, they become it. Before you ever touched a dollar, before you ever opened your first bank account, your relationship with money was already written deep inside your mind. Not by choice, but by programming. When you were a child, you absorbed everything. The way your parents talked about bills. The tone in their voice when money ran short. The arguments, the stress, the little sighs before they said, "We can't afford that." Every one of those moments became code. And that code now runs your financial destiny. Here's what billionaires understand, and what most people never realize. You don't manage money with your hands. You manage it with your subconscious. Your subconscious is a silent engineer, shaping how much wealth you allow, how much risk you take, how much comfort you tolerate. It's not the world that limits you. It's your internal thermostat. That's why lottery winners go broke, and self-made millionaires rise again even after losing everything. Because wealth is not stored in the bank. It's stored in the brain. Billionaires treat their subconscious like sacred territory. They know, if your inner world isn't rich, your outer world never will be. Think about this, when you see someone driving a luxury car, what's your first reaction? Do you feel admiration or envy? Do you think, "I'll have that one day," or "they're just lucky"? That single reaction reveals your inner wealth code. Because your mind can't create what it resents. If you see wealth as arrogance, you'll never allow yourself to have it. If you see money as greed, you'll unconsciously push it away. But if you see wealth as expansion, as freedom, impact, and creation, you open the door for abundance to walk in. You see, your subconscious doesn't care about your dreams. It only follows your patterns. And those patterns are the invisible strings pulling every financial decision you make. You might think you're chasing success. But maybe success is chasing you, and you're running in the opposite direction because your inner script says, "I'm not ready." The rich rewrite their script. The poor defend theirs. When a billionaire fails, he doesn't say, "I lost everything." He says, "I learned something." He rewires his emotional connection to money, from fear to fascination. That's what separates financial freedom from financial frustration. Let me tell you something powerful. Your subconscious decides your income long before your effort does. That's why two people can work equally hard, yet one earns 10 times more. It's not luck. It's mental permission. If your subconscious doesn't feel safe with wealth, you'll sabotage it. You'll overspend, overthink, or overwork anything to stay in the comfort zone of just enough. But billionaires? They reprogram comfort itself. They make abundance their new normal. Here's the truth. Every time you say, "I can't," your subconscious locks the door. Every time you say, "I can learn," it opens it. And that's how billionaires operate. They live in a world of open doors. They aren't born with privilege. They're born with curiosity, and they never lose it. You see, money doesn't respond to need. It responds to energy. If you want more, you must expand your energy beyond fear. That's why affirmations, visualization, and environment matter. They reshape the vibration that your subconscious uses as a compass. Picture this. Every thought you think about money is like tuning a radio. If your frequency says scarcity, struggle, stress, you'll only attract experiences that match that signal. But the moment you tune to opportunity, flow, wealth, life begins to echo that energy back to you. That's not mysticism, that's psychology. Your brain's reticular activating system literally filters reality based on what you believe. If you believe "I never get breaks," you won't even see them when they appear. But if you believe "I create opportunity," your mind will highlight the doors everyone else overlooks. Billionaires use this system consciously. They talk about vision not because it sounds spiritual, but because it's neurological. They design their mindset like an operating system. Daily journaling, mental rehearsal, gratitude routines. They know the subconscious doesn't care what's real or imagined. It only reacts to repetition. So they repeat abundance until it becomes identity. They feed their brain the story they want to live. And over time, reality starts catching up. Meanwhile, most people repeat fear. They feed their subconscious doubt, anxiety, and limits, and then wonder why their world stays small. The difference is invisible, but it's everything. Here's what I want you to remember tonight. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you deserve. The day you upgrade your self-worth, your income follows automatically. Because wealth isn't earned, it's allowed. And allowing wealth starts with awareness. So ask yourself, what did I learn about money as a child? Did I learn that it's evil? That it's rare? That it's stressful? Every belief you expose to light loses its power. That's how you start rewriting your subconscious code. You are not your past programming. You are the programmer. And once you realize that, once you truly understand that your financial destiny isn't in your job, your degree, or your economy, but in the hidden layers of your own mind, that's when everything begins to shift. Because wealth doesn't start with action. It starts with awareness. Then awareness turns into alignment. And alignment attracts abundance. That's how billionaires think. That's how they live. That's how they win it quietly, deliberately, from the inside out. So tonight, don't chase more money. Chase a new mindset. Because when you change that, you change everything that follows. Let me ask you a question. Why do some people seem to attract opportunities effortlessly while others work endlessly just to survive? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's training, mental training. Every billionaire you've ever heard of, Musk, Buffett, Jobs, Gates, they all have one thing in common. They trained their mind long before they trained their business. See, most people think wealth starts with doing. But in reality, it starts with being. Being in the right energy. Being in the right mindset. Being someone who is ready to receive what they desire. Because the truth is, you cannot attract wealth with a mind designed for survival. A survival mind sees risk. A wealthy mind sees opportunity. A survival mind fears failure. A wealthy mind studies it. A survival mind clings to comfort. A wealthy mind expands into uncertainty. That's the training difference. Every day, you're training your brain, consciously or unconsciously. You're either wiring it for limitation or liberation. You're either repeating thoughts of not enough or reinforcing beliefs of I always find a way. And here's the part most people never realize. Your subconscious doesn't care what you say. It only cares what you repeat. That means the most powerful billionaire habit isn't strategy, it's consistency. When Elon Musk says he'll build a city on Mars, it sounds impossible to most people. But to his subconscious, it's normal. He's conditioned his mind to stretch beyond disbelief. He doesn't wait for proof, he creates it. That's how billionaires think. They live in the future first, then bring it back to the present. You want to train your mind like a billionaire? Start with this truth. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner tolerance. If you tolerate chaos inside, your life stays chaotic. If you tolerate fear, you'll always find reasons to hold back. But if you train your inner world for clarity, focus, and gratitude, your external world starts aligning with that frequency. Because wealth is nothing but a reflection of stability. Money flows where it feels safe. So ask yourself, does your energy feel safe for wealth to stay? Or are you subconsciously pushing it away through doubt, guilt, or fear? Billionaires treat their mind like sacred machinery. They meditate, visualize, and reflect not because it's trendy, but because it keeps their inner signal clean. They understand that every thought sends a message to reality. They speak to the universe through discipline. They write in the language of vibration, through emotion, not words. That's why when they visualize, they don't just see their success, they feel it. They embody it before it arrives. And because emotion is the language of the subconscious, the brain starts believing the success has already happened. Once the subconscious believes, the body follows. Once the body acts, the world responds. It's not magic, it's alignment. Here's something powerful. Billionaires don't train for motivation. They train for identity. They ask, who must I become for this reality to be natural for me? Not how do I get there, but who do I need to be so that this level of success feels normal? They don't chase money because they know money is a side effect of identity. The richer the identity, the greater the flow. So every morning, they prime their brain to operate at a higher level. They read things that stretch their thinking. They spend time around people who challenge their comfort. They speak affirmations that build emotional certainty. And they act like the version of themselves they're becoming, not the one they used to be. That's how attraction works. Not through wishing, through embodiment. You can't attract abundance while thinking like scarcity. You can't pull success closer while fearing failure. Your energy must match your expectation. You want to attract wealth effortlessly? Start being the kind of person who would naturally have it. That means thinking long-term when others chase quick wins. Investing in growth when others seek distraction. Speaking with conviction when others doubt. Because the universe responds to certainty, not desperation. Every time you hesitate, you teach your mind to fear power. Every time you act with faith, you train it to attract more of what you desire. Billionaires act fast not because they're reckless, but because they trust themselves. They know indecision costs more than mistakes. They understand that clarity attracts momentum, and momentum attracts money. That's why they don't wait for motivation, they create it through motion. Action becomes the proof their mind needs to believe. And once belief locks in, attraction becomes automatic. You see, the mind has two modes: survival or creation. Survival asks, what if it fails? Creation asks, what if it works? And every time you choose creation, your frequency rises. Your subconscious starts building bridges toward your goals. That's when opportunities appear that others can't even see. Because what you call coincidence, billionaires call calibration. They've tuned their minds so precisely that success can't miss them. So how do you start today? Simple. Feed your brain what you want your life to look like. Stop consuming struggle. Stop repeating limitations. Start speaking in the language of wealth, calm, clarity, and conviction. And when fear whispers, what if you lose? Smile and whisper back, what if I win? Because that's what billionaires do. They don't fight their fears. They educate them. They don't chase proof. They become proof. The truth is, attraction isn't luck, it's the natural result of identity alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions all speak the same language of abundance, money has no choice but to listen. And that's how billionaires train their minds. Not with stress. Not with struggle. But with unwavering certainty that they are the source of everything they desire. You're not waiting for wealth to find you. It's waiting for you to become the person who can hold it. So train your mind. Not to chase, but to receive. Because once you master that, wealth will never be something you look for again. It'll be something that looks for you. There's one truth most people never want to accept. Success isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in silence. Billionaires don't wake up one morning rich. They become rich long before the money arrives, through a series of invisible habits that most people never see. Because habits are not just routines, they're identities repeated daily. Every thought you repeat becomes a belief. Every belief becomes a pattern. Every pattern becomes your destiny. And that's the hidden code behind every billionaire. They design habits that match the future they desire, not the life they have right now. You see, ordinary people build habits around comfort. Billionaires build habits around clarity. The poor ask, how can I feel good today? The rich ask, what will make me grow tomorrow? That's why one remains comfortable while the other becomes unstoppable. Let's talk about one of the simplest, yet most powerful billionaire habits: mental solitude. They spend time alone, not out of loneliness, but to listen to their mind. Because they know, noise kills clarity faster than failure ever will. Warren Buffett reads for hours daily. Bill Gates takes think weeks in complete isolation. Steve Jobs was obsessed with silence, it was where his best ideas were born. The world calls it discipline. They call it alignment. Because clarity doesn't come from chaos, it comes from stillness. And in that stillness, the next billion-dollar idea whispers. Now, another habit, one that's even harder to master: delayed gratification. The poor want results now. The rich are willing to wait. They understand that the universe rewards patience backed by purpose. While most people chase dopamine, billionaires chase data. They track patterns, not promises. They invest time where others waste it. Jeff Bezos once said, "If you can't wait 10 years for your reward, don't expect to outsmart someone who can." That's the game. Time is the ultimate filter, it exposes who's playing small and who's building empires. But here's something even deeper: billionaires don't just manage time. They manage energy. They guard their focus like treasure. They don't let gossip, negativity, or distraction feed their mind. Because they know your attention is the most valuable currency on earth. Every click, every scroll, every mindless thought, it's all a trade. You're either investing your attention or spending it. And billionaires? They invest. They treat their focus like oxygen because without it, every dream suffocates. So here's a hard truth. If your phone controls you, your future doesn't belong to you. If your emotions dictate your day, your wealth will always be temporary. The rich don't react. They respond. They've trained their emotions to obey their vision. That's emotional discipline, the quiet superpower of wealth. Most people lose everything not because they don't have money, but because they can't handle emotion. They panic when markets crash. They doubt themselves when things go slow. They chase when others pause. And in that chaos, they destroy what they built. Billionaires stay still when everyone else runs. Because they understand, wealth isn't created in noise, it's captured in calm. Let me give you a small but deadly habit difference. Ordinary people consume information. Billionaires apply it. They don't just read self-help books, they extract principles and integrate them into action. Every insight becomes a behavior. Every behavior compounds into identity. And over time, identity becomes reality. That's how compounding really works, not just in money, but in mindset. You don't become rich overnight, you become rich over time, through tiny, invisible decisions that nobody notices. But maybe the most powerful billionaire habit of all is the refusal to complain. Billionaires don't waste energy blaming the economy, government, or society. They ask one question: what can I control right now? That question keeps them moving when others stop. Because wealth doesn't grow in fairness, it grows in responsibility. They know the truth most people avoid. The moment you take full ownership of your life, you become unstoppable. And they live by it every single day. They wake up early, not to impress anyone, but to master themselves. They write down goals, not for motivation, but for precision. They reflect daily, not because they're lost, but because they refuse to drift. The secret isn't in the habit itself, it's in the consistency. Do something small, every single day, with absolute focus, and soon you'll be standing where others gave up. That's the law of silent compounding. Invisible habits, visible success. And maybe you're thinking right now, but I'm not a billionaire yet. Good. That's exactly why this works. Because you're at the stage where these habits matter most. Every giant started small. Every billionaire was once unknown. They just built the right systems before the world ever noticed. So tonight, ask yourself, what habits am I building right now? Are they aligned with the person I want to become, or the person I'm trying to escape? Because one day, those tiny habits will decide whether you're living in freedom or regret. Billionaires don't hope for change, they train for it. They don't wait for the future, they build it, one habit at a time. And that's how ordinary people become extraordinary. That's how the invisible turns into unstoppable. There comes a point in every dreamer's life when everything feels stuck. When the effort is high, but results don't move. When it feels like the universe is silent. And you begin to wonder, maybe I'm not meant for this. But listen closely. That moment isn't a sign to quit. It's a test. A test to see if your faith can outlast your frustration. Because every billionaire, every visionary, every world changer has faced that same silence. And they all learned the same truth. Struggle is not punishment, it's preparation. The average mind runs from pain. The millionaire mind learns from pain. And the billionaire mind transforms through it. It's not about avoiding struggle, it's about using it. You see, pain is the universe's most honest feedback system. It tells you where your limits are so you can break them. It shows you what you fear so you can face it. It humbles your ego so your vision can rise. Most people quit when it hurts. The rich grow when it hurts. Because they know diamonds are born in pressure, not comfort. Think about it. Every billionaire you admire was once buried in failure. Elon Musk slept on his office floor. Howard Schultz was rejected 217 times before Starbucks got funded. Jack Ma was laughed out of 30 jobs before Alibaba became reality. But the difference? They didn't interpret struggle as rejection, they saw it as redirection. That's the mindset shift that changes everything. When you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" you move from being a victim of life to being a creator of destiny. And that's where real power begins, in responsibility. You can't control the economy. You can't control what others think of you. But you can control how you respond. The poor react with emotion. The rich respond with intention. And billionaires? They anticipate, they move before the world even realizes what's happening. That's why they seem lucky. But luck is nothing more than timing that meets preparation. You see, when your mindset is clear, your actions become inevitable. When you understand the lesson inside struggle, you unlock momentum others never find. Because struggle doesn't block the path, it is the path. Imagine a sculptor standing before a rough stone. The world sees a rock. He sees a masterpiece hidden beneath the unnecessary. He doesn't complain about the hammer. He uses it. Every strike brings him closer to the truth already inside. That's what billionaires do with failure. They chip away everything that doesn't serve their future. They don't chase validation, they chase evolution. They don't crave comfort, they crave clarity. The reason most people stay stuck is simple, they keep interpreting struggle as proof of limitation. But in reality, struggle is proof of potential. No one struggles at the bottom. You struggle only when you're rising. The mountain fights back only when you start climbing. That's why every powerful person you know once felt like they were losing everything. Because the process of transformation feels like destruction. You're not breaking down. You're breaking through. And that's the lesson most people miss. They quit halfway, right before the miracle. Billionaires endure the storm because they understand this universal law. Pain is temporary. Growth is permanent. They build emotional muscles where others collapse. They make fear their compass instead of their prison. They ask harder questions, take bolder actions, and keep moving even when it hurts. Because they know resilience isn't built in success, it's built in the silence between failures. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop running from struggle, it stops controlling you. The moment you embrace discomfort, your mind begins to expand. The moment you stop fearing the storm, you realize you are the storm. That's how billionaires think. They don't see problems, they see portals. Every obstacle is an opportunity dressed in resistance. Every setback is a setup for transformation. You don't have to wait to become rich to think like this. You think like this first, then you become rich. Because wealth doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your willingness to grow. So ask yourself tonight. Am I avoiding pain, or am I extracting power from it? Am I waiting for the world to change, or am I using every moment to evolve? Because the moment you begin to see your struggle as sacred, you step into a different frequency. The world stops fighting you. It starts shaping you. And that's the unseen shift. From survival to mastery, from fear to faith, from scarcity to power. Billionaires don't live easier lives, they live with greater understanding. They play the same game as everyone else, but they know the rules no one else studies. And rule number 1? Pain isn't the enemy, ignorance is. The moment you begin to think like this, your energy changes. Your decisions shift. And without even realizing it, you start walking the same mental path the greats once walked. The path from struggle to strength. Most people chase money. But billionaires? They program money to chase them. You see, wealth isn't built by effort alone, it's built by alignment. The alignment between your conscious desire and your subconscious belief. Here's the hidden truth. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe. You can say, I want to be rich, 1,000 times. But if deep down your subconscious whispers, I'm not worthy, then every opportunity will slip away, not because you're unlucky, but because your inner world is rejecting what your outer voice is asking for. That's why the richest people in the world spend more time shaping their mindset than their schedule. They understand that the brain is not a storage device, it's a transmitter. It sends and receives frequencies that shape your decisions, emotions, and even your perception of reality. The poor believe in hustle. The rich believe in harmony. Because no amount of external action can compensate for internal resistance. Let me tell you a secret the billionaires live by. Your subconscious decides your income long before your effort does. Think about that. If your subconscious has been programmed for scarcity, for fear, guilt, and limitation, it will always pull you back to what feels safe. Even if safe means struggling. That's why so many people make money and lose it. Their bank account grows faster than their identity. Their external world expands, but their inner world doesn't. And the subconscious brings them back to their financial thermostat. But billionaires, they rewire that thermostat. They build a new mental home where wealth feels normal. They don't chase it, they live it. And that's where reprogramming begins. Every thought you repeat becomes a signal. Every emotion you feed becomes a pattern. And every belief you protect becomes your reality. The subconscious is always listening, and it doesn't care if what you say is true or false. It only cares about what's repeated with emotion. That's why affirmations alone don't work for most people. They speak the words, but their emotions tell a different story. Billionaires don't just speak wealth, they feel wealth. They imagine it, visualize it, embody it. They close their eyes and see themselves already there until the mind has no choice but to follow. That's not fantasy. That's neuroscience. The brain cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. So when you visualize abundance with enough emotion, your subconscious rewires your identity around it. You stop chasing money and start moving like someone who already has it. You start making decisions from power instead of fear. You attract opportunities that match your new frequency. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop needing money, it starts needing you. Because wealth follows certainty. And certainty lives in the subconscious. You see, billionaires are not superhuman. They just trained their inner voice to speak a different language. The language of abundance, possibility, and calm confidence. Where most people say, I can't afford that. They say, how can I create the value to earn it? Where most people think, I hope this works. They think, it's already working, I just need to catch up. They flip every scarcity signal into a creative one. They don't suppress doubt, they redirect it. They don't deny fear, they observe it. And they don't let old programming make new decisions. Their mornings begin with mental conditioning, not social media. They feed their subconscious the diet of focus, gratitude, and vision. And when everyone else is distracted by noise, they're quietly designing their next level. That's the difference between ambition and alignment. Ambition says, I'll work harder. Alignment says, I'll become clearer. You can spend 10 years chasing opportunities. Or you can spend 1 year training your mind to attract them automatically. That's why the inner game matters more than the outer grind. Because your thoughts create emotion. Emotion drives action. And action builds destiny. The subconscious is the silent partner in everything you do. It's the reason some people walk into a room and magnetize respect, and others fade into the background. It's the reason one person's idea gets funded, while another's, just as good, is ignored. It's the invisible force that tells the world how to treat you. And when it's programmed for abundance, the world mirrors that belief back. That's why self-image is the root of all wealth. You can't out-earn your identity. You can't out-hustle your self-worth. Until you start seeing yourself as someone who deserves more, you'll unconsciously sabotage every step forward. That's the painful truth most people avoid. But billionaires face it. They study it. They fix it. They understand that the mind, like a computer, runs old scripts. And if you don't update them, they'll keep producing the same reality. So they audit their thoughts. They delete scarcity. They install abundance. Not by forcing positivity, but by creating proof. They take one small action that contradicts fear. They do something uncomfortable. They show their subconscious, see? We can handle this. That's how confidence is built, not in theory, but in repetition. Not by saying, I am rich, but by acting like someone who's becoming rich. And every time you do, your subconscious begins to trust you more. It stops protecting you from growth. It starts partnering with you in expansion. That's the secret. Not magic. Not luck. Just mastery over the only thing that truly runs your life. Your mind. So tonight, ask yourself, what story is your subconscious still repeating? Is it one of fear or one of faith? Is it rooted in the past or designed for the future? Because until you change that story, nothing else will change. But the moment you do, your energy shifts. Your actions align. And the world, slowly but surely, begins to bend in your favor. That's how billionaires think. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Before checking emails, they check their energy. Before chasing profit, they align with purpose. Because money without meaning is just noise. But when meaning drives money, it multiplies. The second habit? Focus. We live in a world addicted to distraction. But billionaires guard their attention like it's gold, because it is. They understand that where focus goes, life flows. And every notification, every useless meeting, every unnecessary conversation is a leak in their mental empire. They schedule deep work like sacred rituals. They build walls around their creativity. Because they know. Distraction doesn't steal your time, it steals your potential. The third habit, decisiveness. Most people hesitate. They overthink, doubt, and wait for the perfect moment. But billionaires decide fast and adapt faster. They don't wait for clarity to act, they act to find clarity. Because they understand that indecision is the death of opportunity. Every great fortune began with a bold decision made in uncertainty. The choice to start. The risk to leap. The courage to commit. While the world is still thinking, they're already moving. The fourth habit, learning. Every billionaire you admire is a student forever. They read, listen, study, and surround themselves with people who stretch their thinking. Not to impress, but to evolve. They know that the brain, like a muscle, grows through challenge. And that ignorance, not failure, is the true enemy of progress. They don't consume information for entertainment, they do it for transformation. They apply what they learn instantly. That's why their growth compounds. The fifth habit, resilience. The average person gets tired and quits. The rich get tired and rest strategically. Then they come back sharper. They know that energy is a resource, not infinite, but renewable. So they protect it. They eat clean, sleep deeply, move daily, and think lightly. Because a chaotic body creates a chaotic mind. Resilience isn't just mental toughness. It's the discipline to recover, refocus, and rise again stronger than before. And finally, the most overlooked habit of all, gratitude. Yes, gratitude, the foundation of all abundance. While most people look at what they lack, billionaires start from what they have. Not because they're soft, but because gratitude clears mental fog. It centers your energy, stabilizes your emotions, and reminds you that success isn't a chase, it's a state. Gratitude doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful. Because you stop operating from fear of loss and start creating from a place of already being enough. That's where true abundance begins, in the feeling that nothing is missing. You see, wealth doesn't just show up in your life, it shows up through your habits. Those small, quiet choices repeated every day shape your identity. Wake early, think clearly, act decisively, learn relentlessly, recover wisely, and stay grateful. That's not just a billionaire routine, it's a millionaire mindset lived consistently. When you look closely, success is never a mystery. It's a pattern. A pattern of behavior most ignore because it looks too simple. But that's the truth of mastery. Simplicity repeated with discipline creates miracles. Billionaires aren't special. They're systematic. They don't do different things, they do small things differently, until the world has no choice but to notice. So if you want to step into that frequency, stop waiting for the big break. Start with the small choice. The next morning, the next thought, the next act of discipline, that's where your future wealth hides. Because success is not built in one moment of genius. It's built in the thousands of quiet moments no one sees. And when you master those, you stop chasing success. You become it. At some point in your journey, you stop asking, how do I make more money? And start asking, who do I need to become for wealth to find me naturally? That's the question every billionaire eventually faces. Because money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies it. It's not a reward, it's a reflection. And the truth is, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. You can't hold abundance with a scarcity identity. You can't lead an empire with a victim mindset. You can't call yourself lucky when you've never built the version of you that luck is drawn to. So the final law is simple, yet rare. Become magnetic. Not by force. Not by pretending. But by becoming the kind of person whose energy, thoughts, and actions are so aligned. That wealth has no choice but to orbit around you. The world doesn't pay you for your time. It pays you for your value. And your value is determined by your vibration, your clarity, your confidence, your energy, your consistency. When you walk into a room, do you drain energy or elevate it? When people hear your voice, do they feel chaos or calm? When challenges come, do you react or respond? These are the questions that separate those who chase money from those who command it. Billionaires have mastered something the world forgets. They don't seek validation. They seek alignment. They don't ask, do they like me? They ask, am I being true to my vision? They move through life like magnets, silent, composed, focused. Because they know that wealth is never loud, it's disciplined. The loudest room rarely holds the richest mind. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing outcomes and start embodying excellence, you stop running after success, and success starts running after you. That's the energetic shift. People can feel it, the presence of someone who knows who they are. That confidence doesn't shout, it radiates. It doesn't beg, it attracts. It doesn't chase opportunity, it creates opportunity. You see, every billionaire carries the same inner power, the unshakable belief that they are already enough. Not because of ego, but because of purpose. They don't hustle to prove their worth. They create because it's who they are. They move differently, grounded, calm, intentional. They don't fight for freedom, they live from it. And the world, subconsciously, rewards that energy. Because money is energy, neutral, responsive, obedient to certainty. It flows toward those who know what to do with it. So if your goal is to attract wealth, don't just build your business. Build your character. Build your mind until your presence feels like leadership. Build your habits until your actions echo excellence. Build your spirit until peace becomes your power. That's when the real shift happens. You stop looking for the door to success. And you realize you were the door all along. Every great empire begins with one person who decided to stop being ordinary. One person who chose clarity over comfort. Discipline over distraction. Vision over validation. And when that choice becomes your lifestyle, your energy begins to rewrite your destiny. You stop asking for opportunities. And you start creating them. You stop wondering when things will change. And you realize you are the change. And that's the secret no billionaire says out loud. They didn't become wealthy because of money. They became wealthy because they became someone money couldn't ignore. The person who walks with purpose. Who speaks with conviction. Who carries gratitude like armor. Who treats failure like feedback. Who wakes up every morning already grateful for what's coming. Because they know it's on the way. That's the final law. The ultimate transformation. You don't wait to become powerful. You remember that you already are. And the moment you remember that, the world, quietly but certainly, begins to rearrange itself around you. Money follows power. Power follows clarity. Clarity follows peace. And peace comes from alignment, mind, purpose, and action in harmony. That's the billionaire frequency. And once you tune into it, you'll never have to chase again. Because everything you were chasing will start chasing you. Gemstone: the moment you think like the rich, your world begins to shift. Gemstone: money isn't earned, it's attracted to clarity and power. Gemstone: your subconscious decides your income long before your effort does. That's the essence of wealth psychology. Not a dream. Not a trick. But a transformation from within. Most people spend their whole life searching for the key to wealth. But the truth is, the door was never locked. It was waiting for you to realize you were the key. Studio microphone: if this voice spoke to something deep inside you, you're not alone. You're part of the few who are finally ready to think like the rich. Studio microphone: keep listening. Keep growing. Because every second you feed your mind, your future shifts quietly in your favor.